Everyone wants to be stronger, not just physically, but in every part of life. But between confusing workout advice, complicated equipment, and trying to figure out nutrition, where does anyone even start? Well, to get stronger mentally and physically, go to Anytime Fitness. You'll get a personalized training, nutrition, and recovery plan, all customized to your body, your strength level, and your goals. You'll get expert coaching to optimize your results, anytime, anywhere, in the gym and on the Anytime Fitness app. And you'll get anytime access to 5,500 gyms worldwide, all with the right equipment to level up your strength gains and your life. So get started at AnytimeFitness.com. That's AnytimeFitness.com.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR. We are live from Don Juan Cigar Bar in Town Center. Glad to have you with us on this Football Friday. Alondra's with me on site. Muse and Cassie Spazzali. They're back in studio. We're pumped to have you here as we count you down to Tigers, Gamecocks, Saints, and Patriots from the Dome. My goodness, do we have a ton to do. Phil Steele in 15 minutes from right now. We'll have Jordan Rogers next hour. He'll be on the call. We'll have Dari Noka coming up in hour number 3. We got a plumb ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
We all know LSU coming off their open date. There is one question we all want answered. And we have had to sit here and chew on this disgusting Ole Miss loss for 2 weeks now. We've had to sit here for 2 weeks and analyze and overanalyze and discuss and opine and wonder, is Garrett Nussmeier really hurt? Can they run the football? Is the offensive line terrible? Is it Joe Sloan's fault? And we have just been in this spin cycle of an echo chamber of the same stupid conversation for 2 weeks without any type of answer, resolution, or advancement. Well, Saturday, we get to advance the conversation. Now, I'm going to be completely transparent, not that I would ever lie to you. I told you before the Ole Miss game that I was willing to be patient with this offense because I understood the logic into why it was slow to start. I could buy the reasoning that, hey, look, 5 new starters on the offensive line. You're on the road at Clemson, night, tough environment. You want to be a little more conservative, have Nuss, lean on the defense and have Nuss protect the football and be efficient. You want to get it. Florida comes in, same thing. The only thing that could wreck the game like what happened a year ago in Gainesville was that defensive front ruining your day. Florida wasn't moving the football, so you punt, you play defense, field position, you get out of there with a win. I could buy that. And then we saw them be explosive against Southeastern. I'm not concerned about Southeastern, the score, because it's an FCS team. I mean, just watching Nuss do the things that we thought he could do physically. And I said, but look, you go to Ole Miss, who I watched Ole Miss getting a quagmire against an awful Kentucky team. I watched Ole Miss give up 500 yards to Arkansas. Like, you go to Ole Miss and struggle to move the ball against that sorry defense, I'm going to change my tune. And so I've spent 2 weeks not preaching anything to you about how good this offense is, can be, was, don't matter. The reality is you played 5 games. You are not good on offense. And you've now had a week off, 2 weeks to get healthy, the healthiest you'll have been since you started the season, and 2 weeks to try to figure out if you can get anything going in this run game, anything going on the offensive line. And I don't know the answer to that. I'm not here to make any bold prediction about what will happen in that respect. All I know is I got a 5-game sample to know what this team is offensively, and what it is not very good. But I always say in every sport, teams are allowed to improve as the season goes along, and that's no different for this LSU offense. They are allowed to improve. I think the offensive line will develop more continuity. I think as you get healthier, you could certainly be better. I don't want to minimize the absence of Caden Durham against Ole Miss and how that might have limited your willingness to run the football, because my goodness, they were not very willing to run the football against Ole Miss. So Brian Kelly meets with reporters on Thursday after practice, and he's asked about this team being conservative offensively. And I'm going to give you some past context, but this is what Brian Kelly said about his offense on Thursday night, if they're maybe planning to open things up a little bit more.
You know, if you look at the way we played the game the last 2 games, it's been much more aggressive on 4th down. You know, I feel like our offense is ready to break out. I don't want to hold them back from that perspective, that we go in with this mindset of punt it deep, hold them down there, wait for a turnover. I don't think we're going to play that way. We're going to play to the assets that we have on offense. So I'm not going to go into the game thinking, you know, this is a low-scoring game. Keep the points down, kick field goals. I think we go in there with the expectations, kind of the question that was asked earlier, is that my expectations are we're going to continue to progress offensively and be much more consistent for 4 quarters.
Okay. Progress offensively, be more consistent. We're not going to go into it saying punt, play field position. He says, they've been more aggressive on 4th down for what it's worth. Against Clemson, LSU went for 1 4th down in that game. They missed it. They were 0 for 1 in that football game. Against Florida, I'm not really concerned about Louisiana Tech or Southeastern Louisiana. Against Florida, LSU did not attempt a 4th down. They were 4 of 14 on 3rd down and did not go for it once on 4th down. Then you look at the Ole Miss game. Now, there were scenarios where late in game you had to be a little more aggressive, and LSU was 2 for 2 on 4th down in that game. They were 2 for 11 on 3rd down, but they were 2 for 2 on 4th. So he's not lying. They did go for it a little bit more than they did at the beginning of the season. So that's worth mentioning. But I want to remind you, this is not me saying it. These are Brian Kelly's words. After that ugly offensive performance against Florida, where you forced 5 turnovers and your offense only scores 13 points, and there was the dust up in the postgame, Brian Kelly said in the postgame, the way they played offensively was intentional. Listen.
We did whatever was necessary to win the game. Defensively, obviously, the 5 turnovers, playing to our defense. Grant Chadwick was outstanding. I'm sorry that that doesn't sound appealing to you folks, but I really don't care. We're trying to win football games. We flipped field position. I think he had 4 inside the 20. He was our weapon on offense today, and that's how we needed to win the game. We came up with a big play with the run at the end of the game to salt it away, and just really, really pleased with our guys and the way they handle things. How defiant. I mean, that was after Florida when you won 2010. I'm sorry, that doesn't look appealing to you, but I don't really care. He's trying to win football games, whatever it took. And on that day, you knew Lagway was not moving the football, so we're not giving them a short field by going for it and being aggressive. We're going to punt play. It reminds me of that game that was Milesian at its finest or worst. That game against Auburn, I believe it was 2012. LSU won 12-9 or something like that. And it was a game I'll never forget. Auburn was a miserable football team that year. LSU won the game on the road, and they didn't even try offensively because they knew they could play defense, and Auburn was not moving the football. And Miles in the post-game press conference just to finally, punt it again. Just punt it again. That defense, you kidding me? Just punt it again. And they won the game, if that's the objective. And you can win games that way. You cannot win championships that way. Eventually, you're going to have to bust out. I asked Brian Kelly this after Clemson. It was the Monday after Clemson. I said, hey, look, because you had, in previous years, 2023, Jaden Daniels, man, you got to be aggressive because your defense ain't going to stop anybody. You got to go for it. Are you, I asked him again after Clemson, are you maybe going to change your strategy a little bit with this team because of how good your defense is? This is what he said. It did during the game, actually. That's why we punted from our own 40 going in. We punted the 40 because our defense analytics would have had us going for it at that time. But I love the way our defense, I don't like the way we pinned the football. We'll have to get better there on our sky kicking. But that was exactly to your question. That's why we punted the football there from the 40-yard line. So Brian Kelly was telling you early in the season, they were changing their approach.
Not my opinion, his words. They were changing their approach offensively with how they were trying to win games. Okay. And then you get clipped against Ole Miss, and now going into this game, he's telling you point blank, we're not going in there just to play defense and field position and punt the ball. Like, we've got to be aggressive. Why? Because eventually there's going to be a game where you're going to have to be aggressive to win the game to get where you want to be. Because you could play this approach you're doing right now, and you can win 8-9 games, but nobody here is going to be pumped about this team winning 8-9 games and ended up in the Gator Bowl. The objective is, how do you get in the college football playoff, be playing your best in December, January, and try to go win a national championship? The defense is good enough, the special teams is good enough, and you have a quarterback who has proven in his college career that he can be good enough. And you've got plenty of good, of skilled guys on the outside. Your offensive line is a work in progress, but eventually you're going to have to throw them into the deep end and say, like, are you going to sink or can you swim? And this feels like one of those games where you got to do it because your defense is going to be plenty good enough in this game to pin down a bad offense. So let's see if they can get going. I'm not going to predict it's going to happen, but Brian Kelly's telling you point blank, there is a contrast in what he's saying now and what he was saying in the first month of the season with how they're trying to approach this offensively. And we're going to find out Saturday if it's going to work. So we'll talk plenty about LSU and South Carolina as we move throughout the show today. We are here live at Don Juan Cigar Bar and thrilled to have you aboard with us on this Football Friday. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com, SouthPointVW.com. Y'all, the weekend is here. So many people now, when you're buying a vehicle, you shop online before you ever go to the dealership. That's why South Point Volkswagen's website is so user-friendly. Year, make, model, body style, price, new, certified pre-owned, finance, and you can do it all online. Literally every vehicle that's on the lot is online at SouthPointVW.com. Could not be easier. Go to SouthPointVW.com, SouthPointVW.com. When you go search the inventory, it says it right there, 201 vehicles on the lot right now on Airline just north of Highland. Go find your next ride at SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Okay, y'all, rolling through this Friday edition. Y'all come hang out with us here at Don Juan, man. Knock off of work. It's a beautiful day. TVs everywhere. Have a craft cocktail, a beer, a premium cigar. Fade, slip into your weekend, this football weekend. Great chance to come by here and hang out at Don Juan Cigar Bar. Also, our friends from Don Juan are going to be at Tiger Stadium tomorrow with our friends from Bocock Brothers Cigars, set up right outside of the PMAC. So you want to go learn more about Bocock Brothers, they'll be hand-rolling cigars out there. Awesome opportunity to get you a fine premium cigar, meet the folks from Bocock Brothers and the folks from Don Juan Cigar Bar for LSU in South Carolina, right in front of the PMAC between Mike's Cage and Tiger Stadium. Okay, it's after further review. Quick break. We'll come back. Phil Steele, our weekly chat previewing the biggest games of the college football weekend. Tailgate segment ahead. Jordan Rogers, a little more than an hour from right now. We have a ton to do. Glad you're hanging out with us on a Football Friday edition of AFR Live from Don Juan Cigar Bar.
After further review.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Dedham. Mid-City on Donmore and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. I tell you every single day to buy local and shop local, to bypass the big box stores, to forget about the big orange and blue box stores, and support a great local business that's supported our community for 6 decades, and that's Clegg's Nursery. Also, encourage you always, get on their Facebook page if you want to see all of the things that they have to offer. The fall decor displays, the fall bedding plants and flowers. They just got a new shipment of camellias. If you want to check those out at Clegg's, it's time to plant that fall garden. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, collards, mustards, cauliflower. They got it all at Clegg's Nursery. So go by and see the friendliest staff, and make sure you tell them Matt sent you in when you go shop today at Clegg's Nursery.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
When I say October is the best month of the year, it's because of weekends like this. You got the NFL, you got Major League Baseball playoffs, you've got the NHL, the NBA getting ready to start as well, and you have the best, most delicious college football slate we have seen yet this year. Who better to talk about it than Phil Steele? Of course, PhilSteele.com, STEELE, PhilSteele.com, the Phil Steele College Football Magazine, the Phil Steele Plus Tour on YouTube. So many ways you can get Phil's content. You get him here every Friday on AFR. Phil, how are you?
I am doing great, Matt. How about you?
Doing awesome. Fired up about this weekend because it starts early and goes all the way through the night. We have great games in every single slot that are going to maybe shape some of these conference races. And it starts with big 12:15 kickoff with Ohio State and Illinois. Buckeyes have been really good, Phil. They're 14.5-point favorites. But, man, in Champaign, that feels like a lot of points. How do you see it there on Fox in the morning?
Yeah, I'm going to lean with Illinois plus the points in this one. Their offensive line did struggle at Indiana and in the first half against Duke, but they've been better at home. Go look at the USC game. USC came in, I believe, number 2 in the country in TFLs. They had just one TFL against that offensive line. If the offensive line continues to play this way, and Bielema usually has a pretty good offensive line, then I think the offense can keep this one closer than expected. Defensively, there are question marks in the secondary for Illinois, and, of course, Ohio State's wide receiving core is among the nation's elite. But I think with this game being on the road, Illinois fired up. I'm going to take Illinois plus the points in this one.
One that everyone here is going to be keenly interested, back-to-back emotional wins for Alabama at Georgia, home against Vandy. Now they go to Missouri, and Eli Drinkwitz's squad's coming off a bye. Phil, Missouri's looked really good, man, but this will clearly be a different level of competition. Mizzou's a 2.5-point home dog. That line looks like it's come down a little bit. What say you, Bama maybe on a little bit of upset alert?
I think if you look at this game on paper, Matt, you'd have to say, wow, Missouri, because they're averaging 5.9 yards per carry. The defense is holding opponents to 166 yards per game below their average. Hardy's one of the best running backs in the country. Pibula's having a fantastic year with a 9-3 ratio. But you take a look at who these two teams have played, and the schedule difference is humongous. And I just think Alabama's got more talent. You go back to last year's game, Alabama rolled in that one 34-0 at home, and this is a different Alabama team too. I think they're very capable of going on the road, getting the win. I like the way Ty Stimson's throwing a ball against better competition. He's got a 13-1 ratio. Getting Jam Miller back at running back, I thought was huge the last 2 weeks, and Miller's looked really good. And then they've, of course, got the receiving core with Bernard, Williams and company, and I look for Alabama to go on the road and actually get this one a lot more comfortable than the number would indicate.
Well, I hope that you are dead wrong, Phil. I don't blame the pick, though. One thing that I think most college football fans, Phil, would never think they would ever see is a top 10 matchup in the Big Ten with Indiana at Oregon. But here it is. The 5-0 Hoosiers ranked 7th. The 5-0 Ducks ranked 3rd. Oregon, a 7.5-point home favorite in what obviously is one of the best home environments in college football there at Autzen Stadium. Illinois a live dog there on the road, or do you think Oregon takes care of business?
Boy, what if you would have made that statement 4 years ago, Matt?
Seriously.
We have a Big Ten, top 10 battle between Indiana and Oregon. People would have been, you could have made a lot of money on that one because nobody would have believed you. But I tell you what, we've got two of the best quarterbacks in college football here. Fernando Mendoza is just lighting it up this year. He's hitting 73% with a 16-1 ratio. You look at Dante Moore for Oregon, maybe the best quarterback in the country. I love what he did in the whiteout conditions at Penn State. He's hitting 75% with a 14-1 ratio. I think if Oregon's got a weakness, it might be the defensive secondary is a little young, and I think Indiana should be able to exploit that with Cooper and Surratt. But then again, you look at Oregon's offense, and they're pretty much unstoppable. Had this game been in Indiana, I might put it as a toss-up category.
Oh,
but
wow.
The fact that it's in Autzen Stadium, I would have to have Oregon probably by about 10. So with the spread under 10 in this one, I'm going to lean with the Ducks. They're more battle-tested in the big games, and Indiana's only had 2 big games on the road against top 10 teams, and they lost to Ohio State by 23. And then, of course, Notre Dame, they got 2 late scores down 27-3 in that one. So I'm going to lean with Oregon in this one, but I think it's tough to go against either squad.
Phil, just one quick follow-up. You said it would be a toss-up if it were at Indiana. Is that just Autzen being that much of an advantage, Indiana traveling? Like, to what would you attribute that?
Well, you look at the spread right now. What is it, 7.5?
7.5, yeah.
Yeah, even if you just use the standard 3-point home edge, take away the 3 for Oregon and add the 3 to Indiana,
Sure.
You'd be looking at 1.5. But
Okay.
I think it'd be pick 'em in this respect.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's go to Dallas. My goodness, Phil, if you have a good feel on this, I got to hear it because we have seen this line move Oklahoma, then Texas. It just keeps jumping back and forth. Nobody seems to know if John Mateer is going to play. If he does, how effective is he? As of this moment, it's Texas 1.5. Can you make sense of any of this? Because I'm fascinated to see if you got a good feel on Texas OU.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty high on Oklahoma this year. They're my number one surprise team in the magazine, and they've been living up to that potential. I love the defense. They can get pressure on the quarterback. And really, if you look at Texas, their biggest question mark is the offensive line, where they lost 4 starters from last year, most of them to the NFL. Oklahoma's biggest question mark last year was the offensive line, and Texas took advantage of that, winning 34-3. I think no matter who plays at quarterback, I know Michael Hawkins started last year for Oklahoma, but he was a true freshman, and he's now had that experience. He also was playing behind a banged-up offensive line and with the receiving core that was down to top 5 receivers. Haven't been blown away with what Arch Manning's done so far this year. They're having trouble protecting them, and I like this Oklahoma defense. And, frankly, Texas's defense surprised me last week, giving up 457 yards to Florida. I thought they were among the nation's best. They still are one of the nation's best defenses, but maybe not to the level I thought. So I think it's going to be a very good game come down the wire, but I'm going to go with the Sooners to pull this one out.
A couple more here before we grab a break with Phil Steele. Of course, he's on Twitter at PhilSteele042. Phil, there's so many games in the Big 12 I'd love to ask you about because that race is just this homogenous blob of like who's great, who might be good, and we'll see how it plays out. But I do want to, just because the line caught my eye, Iowa State 5-1, they're 2-1 in the Big 12, and they're on the road at Colorado. And you've talked about the difference with Colorado playing there at home under Deion Sanders, but this line's only 2.5. So Iowa State maybe on a little bit of upset alert there in Boulder?
I like the Cyclones in this one. I think people are overreacting a little bit to last week. Last week Iowa State lost their top 2 defensive backs for the season, which was a big loss. They were down actually 6 defensive players in the 2 deep last week, and Cincinnati just rolled them offensively, put up 474 yards. But when I went over the team with Matt Campbell this year, he pointed out to me that last year they were down like 6 or 7 starters mid-season and then got a little bit healthier, but just more adapted. And he liked the depth of the secondary, so I think that after having a rough go against Sorsby last week, I think the secondary will be better prepared for Salter this week. Salter's the type of guy that can throw those interceptions. I think going against a confusing 3-3-5, he will probably do that. I will say this. Colorado last week, that thing was 21-21 against TCU in the fourth quarter. TCU is punting with 5 minutes to go. Ball bounces off the back of a Colorado player. They get a touchdown, score a touchdown on the last play. They played TCU a lot closer in the final last week. But I think off a loss, I'm going to take Matt Campbell and Iowa State to go in there and get the win. And I appreciate the fact that the line's only 2.5.
Okay. Speaking of TCU, let me get one more in about the Big 12. TCU's at Kansas State. It's in the Little Apple, and TCU's a 2.5-point road favorite here. Do you think TCU continues their pace? They're 1-1 in the Big 12. 4-1 overall. It's amazing, Phil. I mean, this Big 12 race is just so hard to pick right now. What do you think about TCU at Kansas State?
This is the one game, Matt, where I don't really have a pick on it for this reason. As I mentioned, TCU was really tight against Colorado, much closer than the final score last week. So I wasn't that impressed with them. And you look at Kansas State, they went through that Ireland thing. Remember what Ireland did to Florida State last year? And you look at this year, they came off the bye, though. They beat UCF. And last week, they could easily have beaten Baylor. I mean, that was a kick a field goal, 2 made field goals, a missed field goal. Had the field goals worked out for them, they would have beaten Baylor on the road. So it really is a good Kansas State team, and I think the team in purple is going to win this one, Matt.
Which shade of purple? TCU, Kansas State. Phil will abstain from that one. We'll knock out a quick break and move on into the afternoon and then evening slate, and there's a ton of amazing SEC matchups that we have to dive into, and we'll do it as we continue here with Phil Steele on Football Friday edition of AFR Live from Don Juan Cigar Bar.
AFR
is brought to you by the Watermark and the Renaissance Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. As a matter of fact, last night I was at Renaissance Baton Rouge. I tell you all the time that if you're looking to host an event, there's no better place in Baton Rouge than Renaissance Baton Rouge with their 13,000 square feet of meeting space. So KKDL, Carnival Crew de Louisiana, which is a great fundraiser for Mary Bird Perkins, had an event last night. I was part of that. And they had the big ballroom open, gorgeous, hundreds of people in there. The food catered, your bars, your portable bars. They got everything that you need, whether it's a grand ballroom event for 500 people or anything in between. We had our launch party for LouisianaSports.net at Renaissance Baton Rouge in their Tallulah Terrace area. If you have a need for a board meeting for a dozen people, they can host that as well. It's Renaissance Baton Rouge. No, by the way, that's where the LSU Tigers stay the Friday before home game. So LSU will be at Renaissance today. It's Renaissance Baton Rouge.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Always appreciate Phil Steele giving us his time here on these Football Fridays to preview the biggest games of the college football weekend. Make sure you get to philsteele.com, STEELE, philsteele.com. Take that Phil Steele Plus tour, which we'll tell you about here in just a bit. Hey, Phil, let's move into the evening and night slates here. And there's a bunch of SEC games that I want to dive into. Last year, Arkansas pulled a major upset against Tennessee in Fayetteville. This one's in Knoxville. And the Vols are an 11.5-point favorite. But maybe the biggest storyline here, Phil, of course, is that Sam Pittman's been fired. Coming off the bye, it's Bobby Petrino now as the interim head coach. Any type of interim bump for Arkansas here might keep this game closer than they expect?
Well, they've got the offense for it. You know, Taylon Green, ever since like the fifth week last year, has been a very impressive QB. He's really got into the Petrino system. And as you mentioned, a lot of times there is that interim bump. But I think I would have liked Arkansas more had Sam Pittman been the head coach. Pittman was excellent in these type of games where they would take it right down to the wire and always cover. Didn't win a lot of them, but would lose by like 3-6 points, something like that. And now you've got Tennessee playing with legitimate revenge at home, both teams off a bye. I like the way that Aguilar is throwing the football this year, maybe an upgrade over Nico. And I also like the replacements they have at running back and wide receiver. Heupel tends to put it on teams sometimes in the fourth quarter, which you got to like as a head coach. So I'm going to go with Tennessee minus the 12.5 here. I do think it'll be a high-scoring game.
Okay, and Phil, just for the record, I am looking right now at 11.5 too. So maybe shop around. You can get if you want to lay 11.5 instead of 12.5, you can get it right now. Florida, big win last week. Every time Billy Napier's up against it, seems like he comes up with something. Now they have to go on the road to Texas A&M, who was mighty impressive in the second half against Mississippi State last week. A&M's a 7.5-point home favorite. Any more magic in that old top hat for Billy Napier?
Yeah, I think they can keep it close, possibly even pull the upset. We'll see what happens here. But you got to love their defense. They have been solid all year long. And you take a look at the offense for Florida. You know, the 5 interceptions against LSU, they had a 23-10 first down edge in that game. And so I think if Lagway can stay away from the interceptions, they have that chance. But A&M is a complete team. I mean, I like Marcel Reed at quarterback. You look at the running back core with Moss, Owens, and Daniels. You look at the receiving core with Craver and Concepcion. The offensive line, one of the best in the country. Defensively, they can get after you. They've got 18 sacks so far this year. They're tough against the run and tough against the pass. They really are a complete team. So tough to go against the Aggies, but Mike Elko has trouble covering a lot of times. He's got a very poor, I think he's only covered 5 of his games so far at Texas A&M. I'm going to lean with Florida plus the points in that one.
All right, 7 and a hook right now with the Gators. The Deep South's oldest rivalry, Georgia at Auburn. So this one's at Jordan-Hare. Maybe a reason why the line is what it is. Georgia laying 3.5, so Auburn catching 3 and a hook at home with the Bulldogs coming in. Is this maybe a spot where the public maybe leans Georgia, but Auburn's got a chance to keep this game closer?
Yeah, and I think Georgia's offensive line is my biggest concern. I was just watching the Georgia-Kentucky game, and those offensive linemen were dropping like flies. You wonder who's going to be healthy in this game and who's not, but you got to think Georgia's going to figure it out. And, you know, probably the one weakness of the Georgia defense so far, they're not getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They've only got 6 sacks so far this year in 5 games, which is atypical for a Georgia team. But I think they're going to find themselves here going against an Auburn offensive line that's allowed 15 sacks the last 2 games. So look for Georgia's defense to get more pressure. I like the way that they run the football with Bowens and Frazier. I think they've got an upgraded receiver. You look at Branch and Young, and then Gunnar Stockton's a guy that can hurt you with his arm or his legs. Watch this guy on third down. He'll get you a lot of crucial conversions. Georgia really doesn't have a lot of road to give anymore. They lost 1 to Alabama. You don't want to have 2 SEC losses. I think Georgia runs the table the rest of the regular season, and gets themselves to the SEC title game. So I'm going to take Georgia in this one, late at 3.5.
All right, bold pick there for Phil, picking the Bulldogs not to lose again this year. We'll get to LSU.
In the regular season.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yes. Important note, in the regular season to get to Atlanta. Important note. I make sure I clarify. How about Michigan at Southern Cal? This is it's interesting. A lot of people here are interested in Bryce Underwood naturally. He'd been committed to LSU for so long, and there's just that sort of distance intrigue factor. And then there's Southern Cal, who you pointed out all last season, Phil, was just a handful of plays away from maybe being a playoff team. Well, Lincoln Riley seems to have that thing pointed in the right direction right now, and the Trojans are a 2.5-point home favorite over Big Blue. So how do you see it? Does Southern Cal hold serve at home?
Yeah, I like USC in this one, Matt. And you go back to last year's game, USC was winning that thing 24-20.
Yes.
And there was really no way Michigan was going to score. They weren't going to go 80 yards downfield. But then Mullins broke off like a 67-yard run, and all of a sudden they had life. And then on 4th and goal, they score a touchdown, and Michigan pulls the win. Yet another close loss for USC. Remember, they had 5 of them last year. It could easily have been 11-0 at one point. Well, USC's offense and defensive lines are stronger this year, both of them. And especially they got more bulk up front on the defensive side. So I think they'll slow down Michigan even more than they did last year. They're at home. Love the speed they have. Love Wayman Jordan at running back. He's got 7 yards a carry. You look at Lemon and Lane at receiver. Maava's lighting it up at the quarterback position. They're at home where they play a lot better. They're actually 6-1 against the spread as a home favorite. They're 1-13 when they travel to the East Coast or Central time zones. So you play much better at home. And you've got Underwood going on the road for this one. So I like USC minus the 2.5 to come out of there with the win.
Good numbers there with that. You said 6-1 SC at home. What was the number when they go to the East or Central?
1-13 when they travel to the East or Central. And look at this year. They lost at Illinois and didn't cover against Purdue.
Yeah, fascinating. Always something to file away when you're looking for those angles. One more, Phil, before we talk about LSU, South Carolina. And I know we keep kind of leaning into this Big 12 race, which is so fascinating to see. Here's BYU and Arizona. It's there in Tucson. BYU a 2.5-point road favorite. How do you see that one in a congested Big 12 race?
Well, you got a 5-0 team on the road that's a 2.5 favorite. I'm surprised you didn't mention this one for the possible upset because I'm going to.
Okay.
I haven't been blown away with BYU yet this year. I know Bear Bachmeier's led him to a 5-0 record. He's got a 7-1 ratio, but this is a good Arizona team. And keep in mind, Brent Brennan took over last year at Arizona late, and a lot of his guys left for Washington, and a lot of his recruits left for Washington. Well, now he's got a real team here. And last year, I think Noah Fafita fell into the trap of just looking for Tatori McMillan every single snap, whereas this year he's got a more balanced passing attack. They've got Mahdi coming in at the running back spot who's averaging 6 yards a carry. The defense is actually holding opponents to 126 yards below their average. And, as mentioned, just haven't been blown away with BYU in any of their games this year, even the 21-point win at East Carolina. So I'm going to call for Arizona to pull the upset here.
All right, an outright win there, bear down in Tucson. Phil Steele's with us. Phil, the big one in Baton Rouge. People have been just having the same conversation for 2 weeks. What's wrong with this LSU offense? Can they get it fixed? Well, the odds makers seem to like the Tigers a lot in this one. LSU is a 9.5-point home favorite over South Carolina. You got two struggling offenses so far this year. Tigers, they get it done at home and get back on the right track?
Yeah, coming into the season, Matt, both these teams were considered playoff contenders, but I thought South Carolina was not a playoff contender because of the fact that defensively, that was their strength last year, their defensive front seven. They were dominant at times, and this year they lost 6 of their top 7 guys off the defensive front. So the defense is not as good as last year. Offensively, it is Lenora Sellers or bust. I thought South Carolina probably should have beat LSU last year, but this year LSU's the better team. They're at home. It's in Death Valley. I like LSU to win this one by more than the 9.5. I think they'll have a comfortable win, and folks will start perking up there in Baton Rouge.
Well, it's a big October for LSU. They win these next 3 with South Carolina, Vandy, and then Texas A&M. They'll go into their second bye knowing what's on the table as they flip the calendar to November, but it starts Saturday in Tiger Stadium. Phil likes the Tigers to win and to cover. Of course, Phil Steele's with us every single Friday, and we always love to tell you about the Phil Steele Plus Tour, where Phil's just out there slinging out winners and trying to help you pay for your kids' college and all that stuff. Phil, let's remind them again about the Phil Steele Plus Tour and what they get.
Yeah, head over to philsteele.com. Right there on the front menu, you can click on it. It's the Phil Steele Plus Tour with selections. It's on YouTube. You get to watch it. I give you 5 free selections, 6 quick hitters. The quick hitters are 8-2 the last 2 weeks. Hey. And you also get a free NFL play. So a lot of free plays and complete reasoning. I click on Phil Steele Plus, show you all the different things I'm talking about, give you complete reasonings so you can play the games with confidence as well. Get yourself some free winners right now. Go to philsteele.com and take the Phil Steele Plus Tour.
That's philsteele.com, STEELE. Go to philsteele.com. You'll see the video player embedded right there. The Phil Steele Plus homepage, the video for YouTube is embedded right there. Gives you all the reasoning, and as Phil said, go get some winners. Phil, we appreciate it. We do it every Friday. We'll look forward to chatting again next week.
Have a great weekend, Matt. Always great. Always enjoy the conversation, my friend.
Same here. That is Phil Steele. This is After Further Review. We're at Don Juan Cigar Bar, and glad to have you hanging out with us here. Love telling you about Evermore, EVAMOR, Evermore.com, Evermore.com. Drink Evermore. Tell you what, it is the best tasting water you'll ever find. I love when I get great photos from you all on my text line, Twitter, DM, all that good stuff. EVAMOR, Evermore.com. If you haven't tried it, that's my challenge to you. My challenge to you is just try it. Find it at great local retailers. You're not sure where you can get it. It's easy. Just go to Evermore.com, hit the store locator, and you'll see the store nearest you where you can snag a bottle of Evermore, or you can order it online. EVAMOR, Evermore.com, Evermore.com. Drink Evermore. Of course, I always have my bottle of Evermore with me on set as I drink it throughout the show. Drink 2 64-ounce bottles of Evermore every single day, and you should as well. EVAMOR, Evermore.com. Okay, y'all, it's a Football Friday edition of AFR. We're live from Don Juan Cigar Bar. Our tailgate segment is next. No Terrio today. Georgia Terrio is on the Parkview homecoming court, so Ryan will be escorting his daughter, and we're fired up for them for that. What a great experience. So no Terrio here, but we got plenty. Jordan Rogers at 4:30. Chris Marler will be here at 5 o'clock. We'll pick the big SEC games of the week with our SEC writer over at LouisianaSports.net, Chris Marler, who also happens to be the Locked on Gamecocks host covering South Carolina. So we'll give us some perspective on South Carolina as well. So ton to do, and glad you're hanging out with us here on the Football Friday edition of AFR, live from Don Juan Cigar Bar.
AFR.
If you are thinking about selling your home, first, you got to know how much your home is worth. Well, Darren James can help with that. I know you say, I'll go to Zillow, do this estimate. When was the last time Zillow was in your home? Does Zillow know if there's been upgrades in your neighborhood? Does Zillow know if you've redone your windows or fence, outdoor kitchen, patio, whatever it may be, whatever upgrades you might have done, whatever market data might exist? That's why you need agent225.com. Go to agent225.com, agent225.com. There's a home value tab right there. If you're on the home page, it's bottom right. If you're on mobile, just scroll and you'll see where it says home value. All you have to do is type in your address. It's that simple. Just go to home value at agent225.com, agent225.com, hit home value, type in your address, and boom. In seconds, it'll tell you using local market data how much your home is worth. And when you're ready to sell, call Darren James. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Wrapping up hour number 1, we are live from Don Juan Cigar Bar, and glad to have you hanging out with us here. We'll get to our tailgate segment here in just a quick second. I know something we have followed all week, and I've told you we will continue to follow as the story continues to advance. It's the Kyron Lacey story, and we know it was a week ago. It was last Friday when attorney Matthew Ory released his 44-minute sit-down with HTV10 in Homa. There have been several evolutions since then. The state attorney general has opened an investigation. Liz Murrell. Subsequently, the state police released some video of their findings, and this volley back and forth continues. There's a report today up at ESPN that more of the findings of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney have been released, and it's kind of in line with the thing that we've talked about a bit here, which are some of the inconsistencies. The headline grabber is that Lacey reached 88 miles an hour. That's literally in the headline at ESPN. However, nobody's ever disputed that, as we talked about. We know Kyron was speeding and illegally passing vehicles. No one's ever disputed that. What's new is that the investigation estimates that Lacey was back in the southbound lane, not 72 yards from the accident, as Matthew Ory's conversation said. He was actually 92.3 yards from the site of the accident. So Kyron Lacey again was back in his lane, 92.3 yards from the accident at the time of the accident. The report states that the Kia Cadenza that crashed into Mr. Hall's vehicle was traveling too close behind the pickup truck, quote, which caused her to take evasive action to avoid hitting the back of the truck. Also states that the driver of the Cadenza corrected 75 degrees into the collision into the vehicle with which Mr. Hall was a passenger. She was initially cited. They report, again, this is the Lafourche Parish District Attorney, several inconsistencies by Louisiana State Police, notably that it, quote, gives the impression that Lacey was actively passing vehicles at the time of the collision, quote, which is incorrect. So he was not passing, he was back in his lane. They also note that the video camera, the surveillance footage, that the audio is not synced with the video, and it makes it appear that Lacey was closer to the collision than he actually was. This is some of the stuff, again, and I'm not here trying to convince you one way or another. It just, as this story advances and there's a lot of interest in it, we're going to talk about it. But the thing that I'll keep going back to is there are very legitimate questions about state police's investigation that need to be answered. And I think as concerned citizens, you deserve answers from people. I want to reiterate so many times how much respect I have for the men and women in law enforcement, the sometimes thankless job they do, literally risking their lives every day for our safety, and how almost impossible it is to come after an accident, try to recreate that scene. I mean, they were not there at the time, so it's a very difficult thing to do. But throughout this investigation, it's clear there's evidence where there are inconsistencies, and I think those are the things that need to be answered, and hopefully in time they will be. So both the families of Mr. Hall and the Lacey's will get the answers they deserve and some closure herein. So again, as it develops and continues to evolve, we'll certainly keep you posted. But again, that some of the evidence today supports the claim that why the Lafourche Parish District Attorney did not recommend bringing charges against Kyron Lacey, because of the inconsistencies in the state police report. So state police continues to maintain their stance, and it's quite honestly hard to understand why. I'm editorializing there, but some of these things need to be answered. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor. It's parishrestoration.com. My buddy, Mr. Jim Woodworth, Garrett Nussmeyer, and his soon-to-be wife called Jim. They got engaged. Of course, they bought a house, and then found out they had mold in that house. So they hired Parish Restoration to come in, spray their patented non-toxic dry fog, and get rid of all that mold. You should call them as well. It's more cost-effective. It's more efficient. It's more effective than traditional remediation, whether it's mold, other harmful pathogens. If you got odor, they can knock all that out for you at parishrestoration.com. Parishrestoration.com is where you go to schedule that inspection. Parishrestoration.com. All right, tailgate segment time. Hit it, Muse.
At LSU, we play hard, but we tailgate harder. Light your burner, fire up the grill. It's time for our Football Friday tailgate recipe of the week with Chris's Specialty Foods. 4 locations, or go to chrisspecialtyfoods.com.
All right, Coben Linedecker joins us here live on site at Don Juan Cigar Bar. Welcome back. Good to see you.
What's up, man?
Another day back home, a chance to tailgate, and obviously the LSU Tigers taking on the Game Chickens. So I guess we're going to be eating chicken today. What we got?
All kind of chicken. Yeah, glad to be back, man.
What is that?
That is our chef's made smoked chicken salad. We sell it in the. We sell it at lunch.
I had the sandwich.
Yes, so we sell it at lunch.
Yes.
And then people fell in love with it, so we started packing it up and selling it in the stores.
That's the stuff, y'all. The what's it called?
Smoked chicken salad.
Smoked chicken salad. That's a great dip. Put it on a sandwich. Trust me, I had it for lunch last week when I went with Terrio. It's awesome.
Unbelievable.
Because Terrio's there every day.
Every day.
He spends our entire parish marketing and our budget on food at Chris's. We're keeping you in business.
Yes. And then we have also a fan favorite at the restaurant at our lunch spot, a blackened chicken wrap.
Okay.
That's Terrio's go-to. He loves our blackened chicken.
Everything is Terrio's go-to. What are you talking about?
It's a fan
Lobster
favorite.
rolls, Wagyu hot dogs, ribeye sliders. Yeah, of course. Everything's his go-to.
Here we'll move on to the stuffed chicken breast. We have jalapeno cream cheese wrapped in bacon. Very easy. Throw it on the pit, 45 minutes. All the work's done for you. Here we have a smoked jalapeno chicken sausage.
Okay.
It's very good.
Let me get you a little. I'm just going to get that mic. There you go.
And then after that, we have our bacon wrapped thighs. Same thing. Already done.
What? Is that bone in or
no,
it's
that's
just thigh
boneless.
meat?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Very juicy.
Let's
yes.
go.
Yes. And then, of course, everybody knows Chris's for our stuffed chickens. I brought a boudin stuffed chicken. They are completely boneless, and that's just all meat and boudin. So, again, this stuff is all very easy just to pop in the oven, the grill, whatever you need, and you can have some chicken for the South Carolina game.
So people are going out to tailgate. How do they do the stuffed chicken? On the grill?
Yeah. So that's the same thing as all the others. You can pop it in the grill or the oven, about $350 for an hour.
What is that?
That's the blackened chicken from the wrap.
Oh, got it. That's okay. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome stuff. Whenever we talked about like deboning the chicken before, that's a whole process.
Yes.
Just let them do it for you. Go to Chris's.
Yes.
ChrisSpecialtyFoods.com. Y'all are taking deers as well. Yeah, deer. Deer.
Yes, we already have gotten in a lot of deer, and guys, the holidays.
Y'all taking deers, right?
The holidays are coming up. We've already started getting orders. Get in your turkey orders, your gift basket orders, anything. Let us take care of it for you.
All right, there's 4 locations: Millerville, Highland near the interstate, Central, and Lakeview as well for all the NOLA peeps. So y'all check it out. ChrisSpecialtyFoods.com online. ChrisSpecialtyFoods.com. South Carolina week. Time to eat chicken and eat. Who says chicken's got to be born? All right, we got 15 seconds. Game tomorrow. Give me a pick.
I'm going to go LSU 27, South Carolina 20. I like South Carolina covering, but LSU wins the football game.
Oh, how South Carolina's going to score that many points? All right, Coben, we appreciate it. Y'all go see our friends over at Chris's. Thanks, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Matt.
Hour 2 next.
AFR.
Put a button here on hour number 1 from Don Juan Cigar Bar. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com with locations all over South Louisiana. If you need work done on your vehicle, Shaw Bills can help. If you're looking to buy tires, let's be honest, nobody wants to buy tires. It's not a fun thing to buy. They often can be expensive, and it's a boring thing to buy. You'd rather spend money on fun things. But your vehicle literally will not move down the road if you don't have tires. So you got to have them. And you want the best tires so you're safe, and they're going to perform for you to keep you and your family safe. So you might as well get the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible, and that's where Shaw Bills comes in, because they will combine in-house offers, the manufacturer's offers. They always offer the Shaw Bills credit card as well, which gives you great discounts on things like installation. Learn more. All the promotions are at the website, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they treat you like family. Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling.